Welcome to episode 10. In this programme, Father Ryan and Dan Deneen talk about Tidy Town's activities. We have a sports roundup. Tom and Noni Holmes talk again with Dan Deneen. Pat Mulcahy speaks about Medjugorje, and a thought for the week with Father Simon. Over now to Father Tom and Dan.
Spring is in the air and the cuckoo and swallows are on their way. And this is the busiest time of the year too, also for the Tidy townspeople. As our group is preparing for the annual inspection, which will take place in June or July, and we want to be shipshape for that event. So over to Father Ryan for a few words now, Father.
I've always had a great desire that the parish I would be in would do well. I wasn't long here when we won a county final, which was great. But to get back to Dan, as I say, is an inspirational character. He's a fantastic man. He gives great leadership, especially now this whole Tidy Towns area. He has done an awful lot of work, and he has impressed me greatly. So much so that I'm inclined to maybe get a bit more involved. And I think this village, by the way, is a beautiful village. It's situated here at the bottom of the Sleafalem Hills, and it has an awful lot of potential to be one of the finest villages, small towns in the country. I think everybody has to be involved. People have come around to seeing that this won't happen with Dan Deneen and a few more people, but everybody has to be involved. And I'd like to say thanks to Dan for his tremendous work since I came here, and I know he was involved before that too. So maybe Dan, you'd like to say a few more words about before you came here and who was that?
Yeah. Thanks, Father, for the very kind comments. I'm beginning to get maybe a touch of a swelled head at this stage, but maybe it will soften down. And I'd like to say a few words about Tidy Towns generally, and I suppose it's no shame to say it, that is my personal love, and I wasn't forced into this by anybody, and I am a part of it, and I want to be part of it, and I don't look forward to leaving it ever, but I suppose eventually we'll have to hand over the reins to the next generation, and that would be good if we could get young people interested in taking our places here, and we'd be there for advice and a few other things. But just to give it a small bit of the history of the Tidy Towns, as a national movement was started in 1958. And that's over 50 years ago now. And the winners that year were Glenties in County Donegal, and they won it for several years after. I got involved in the late 70s when I came here, especially when my children were growing up and going to school. And really it was with the school children I got involved first rather than with the adults. We had such competition for places in the Tidy Towns group at that time that we had to do 2 evenings a week because we had 30 volunteers from the school, and it wasn't safe to go to the village with 30. 15 were quite a handful. So we had 2 tidy ups to each week, and that was great, and it was good experience for the children. I suppose the big highlight of all that was one Saturday evening near where the existing pump is now. I happened to find something on the street which happened when unfolded. It was a £20 note, an English note. And of course the children got super interested in this, and our numbers collecting papers from the next week and after were gone up in the air. But countless improvements have taken place in the village over those 50 years since Tidy Towns was started. Old stone walls were removed and replaced with nice concrete walls and all that, and of course our village has expanded out of all proportion in the last couple of years. I'll bring you up to date, and that in 2011, due to we got some 9 extra marks, would be exceptional. Prior to that would be 1 or 2 marks per annum, but 9 was exceptionally good, and that was brought about mainly by the new playground, which was the brainwave of the parish council, and I suppose particularly Father Simon. saw the need for it and put it there, and that was a great help. And also that last year we had 2 force workers work here in the village, and they kept the place spotless 365 days a year, and it's very evident to people visiting the village that our village is very clean. Unfortunately, we may not have these. We have lost one and maybe not have the other from very shortly, but we'll see. So thanks to those lads, that helped so very much. In 2012 we hope to gain a few extra marks as well, because during the winter of 2011 we put down a green area next to the children's playground, and then we also put in a fountain there. And by the time the adjudication takes place in June, July, as I say, we hope to have seating in place, and that should help us along the way as well. Also at the back of the hall, we have cleaned out an area which was laying waste, and we're making a car park out of that, and that too will be an improvement, I hope. And to be our idea to landscape that eventually, and it will be an addition to the village. Maybe Father Ryan would like to come in at this stage.
I mentioned at the start the importance of having a person with a vision. I remember I was back in the parish of Ballylanders one time, which was a beautiful village, and next door was Galbany. There was a man there called Tim Ryan, and Tim gave great leadership, and Galbany went on to win the tidiest town in the country. And I've talked about everybody being involved. Now we're glad to say that we have people in the estates who have set up their own little groups, and they're doing fantastic work, buying their own lawnmowers and keeping the place tidy. And for that, I would say we're deeply grateful.
So thank you, Father, again. We have 7 volunteers in the present group, and we meet nightly at Thursday night at 6:30 till 8. And it's not all work. We have a bit of crack there as well, and it's a kind of a social evening out. And to be honest with you, at this stage of my life, I'd hate to miss it, because we hear something new every night. So that's a reason maybe to join the Tidy Towns. Also, we're delighted now with Gilmartin Park, Cushnaquilla, Liscray and Ganban estates for establishing their own association to keep, which keeps their own places in order, and they're funded by the council, generously funded, and bought more there. And we wish that all the estates would either go and do the same, or maybe join with the estate next door if they're small, and try and do it between them. That's the way forward, and that the council will definitely be generous to them as they can, especially if the people are interested. Sincere thanks to everybody who contributed towards the fountain, which we had collection there recently, and also to the Tidy Towns collection, which we held last Saturday and Sunday here in the parish. So thanks once again to all these people. Without that bit of money, we wouldn't be able to function. Thanks also to the residents locally who keep their houses, their gardens, their walls painted and all that business, and hang out flower baskets and window boxes and all. That is a great deed, and if everybody kept their own patch neat and tidy, I suppose the Tidy Towns could all go into retirement, but that isn't the way. There's also a public area to be kept, and there's need for us there. But if people did their own little patch and keep it litter free, that would be a real plus. All winning towns must have the whole community behind them, and this is very evident for us as we go on a trip around. We're surrounded by towns that won the All-Ireland event, namely Birdhill, Adair, Galbally and Emily, and anyone visiting these is quite evident in that the whole community is behind them, and that's what a winner needs, and that's what we're aiming at. Killarney won the Tidy Towns in 2012 with a mark of 310. Maru got 260, now 50 behind Killarney, but again, when we look closely at the results, out of 600 to 700 towns nationwide entering, we are in the top 50. So we're really in the leading group. Blessed, as Father Tom said, with places like Glenstall, the monument, which was there before our time and all this. These are all lovely features in the village, with Abington Church and Glenstall itself, Glenstall Abbey, the pitch and put, the two bars we have here in the village, the 3 shops, the thatched cottages, the church grounds. Finally, I'd like to thank Limerick County Council and Ballyhowrah for both financial and advice, and we find them of great benefit indeed. And I will just hand you over to Father Tom to say the final few words, and he's never stuck for a word anyhow, so over to you, Father.
It's very hard, Dan, to get a last word when you're talking with a posh person. My final comment would be to make the point that this village has grown enormously with all the houses around us. And I welcome all the people who've come to live out here, and I hope that they're finding this a nice place and a good place and a happy place, especially a happy place and a good place to bring up children. I wish them all the very best.
Slán go fóliv.
In the next piece, the Sports Roundup, Dave Richardson talks about athletics, and in particular his recent winning of the Castleconnell 10k race. Caroline Hickey covers camogie activities, Paul Burns speaks about the GAA, and Noel Regan speaks about Maru AFC.
A young man from Maru, the son of Bob and Ita Richardson, won the Castleconnell 10k race, and here now to tell us about the race and how he got involved in running is David Richardson.
So a few weeks ago we had the Castleconnell 10k. It was a tough enough race, pretty hilly. I ran it in 35 minutes and 22 seconds. That was about a minute slower than my personal best from before, but from the conditions on the day and the hills, it was as good as I could have hoped for, really. Mike Cunningham from Cappamore led out the race from the start, and he built up a bit of a gap over the first maybe 1 or 2 kilometres, but after that I kind of caught him around the 3rd kilometre mark and took the lead there, and I kind of held the lead and slowly opened the gap up until the end. So I was happy enough with the win. The time, not overly, but it's only early in the season yet, so hopefully we can build on that over the next few months into the summer. Before, I used to play hurling and football here with Maru Boher. As it got up towards minor level, I kind of took up running. It would have been about 5 years ago, and I slowly started to run more and hurl a bit less. And nowadays all I do is running. I do triathlons as well, so I'm swimming and cycling. The hurling and football is kind of fallen off, but I follow it still and still go to the matches and support the lads. So in a few weeks' time we have a triathlon coming up in UL, the Joey Hannon Memorial Triathlon. I'm hoping to do well in it. I'm aiming for the win, but hopefully a top 3 anyway at the least. So for that we have a 1500 metre swim inside in the swimming pool in UL, and then we go on a 40k cycle which brings us out through Abington up to Cappamore, and we turn around in Cappamore and come back through Abington and back into UL, and then we finish off with a 10k run. So at the end of a triathlon I kind of hope it'll probably be about 3 minutes slower, the 10k run, after the cycle and the swim. Triathlon's kind of my main sport, and the running is just an aside, so kind of local 10k's and 5k's I do. They're good practice, and that's what the Castleconnell 10k was. I ran a few of them this year and I've always been close to winning but have never managed to win, and thankfully the last day now in Castleconnell I had a good race and just paced it right and got the win in the end, so I was happy with that.
Hello, I'm Caroline Hickey. I'm the PRO of the Maribor Club. I'm going to fill you in on the matches that happened in the last 2 weeks. Firstly is an update on the under-12 team. They played Treaty Gales in the first game of the league on the 19th of April. They played 2 small-sided games of 7 aside and won both games comprehensively. Their next game is on Thursday, the 26th of April against Na Piarsaigh. They are also taking part in a blitz on Saturday, the 28th of April, where they'll play against Ahan, Capmore and Treaty Gales. Next is an update on the under-14 team. They played Glenroe on the 14th of April, where they had a great win, beating Glenroe on a scoreline of 10-3 to a point. They played really well with all the forwards on flying form. Their next game is against Galway on the 24th of April. Next is an update on the under-16s. They were out in the quarter-final on the 13th of April against Crow-Kilfinny and had a fine win, winning on a scoreline of 5-9 to a point. It was a great team performance with Kerry Maroney excelling in defence and Clodagh Buckley and Orla Holmes both scoring a goal. Lisa Ryan captained the team to this win. They are now in the semi-final against Monaleen with a time and venue yet to be decided. Finally is an update on the intermediate team. They played Ballybrown in the second round of the league on the 15th of April and the game ended in a draw with the score being 2-5 to 1-8. It was a great team performance with the girls playing with their hearts on the sleeve and never giving up, and this showed by them coming back from 4 points down with 10 minutes to go to get a draw. Scorers on the day were Katrina Laffin with 1-2, Niamh Richardson with 3 points and Anne O'Connor with a goal. Their next game is against Tournafulla and the time and venue has yet to be confirmed on that one. And that is all that has happened in the last few weeks with our games. Until the next time, thank you very much.
Hi, Paul Burns here again, Chairman of the Maru Boher GA Club. I just want to bring you up to date regarding the various activities in the club over the last number of weeks. Firstly, we've had a number of minor championship games and our under-18s have been very successful in these championship to date. We have beaten Cappamore comprehensively in Cappamore by 3-17 to 1-8, and that was a fantastic victory for a very young minor team. Subsequently to that, roughly 10 days later, we played Palace Green in Maru and again had a very comprehensive win in terms of a very physical game against Palace, which it always is, but we were overwhelming winners again for that game, 2-18 to 1-8. So that leaves us now in a very strong position for the East Championship. All games now are postponed until the championship resumes again in July. This is due to exams, and our minor team continue to train once a week and are really focused on winning that East Championship and hopefully a county championship this year. Our under-21 team have played 2 championship games. Our championship is in the B Championship in the East, and as a result of that we played Cappamore in the East Championship last Friday fortnight. That game ended in a draw and we were very unlucky not to win it. It was subsequently played the following Monday night in Boher, and unfortunately Cappamore beat us by 4 points on the night due to being a bigger team and a bit more physical than compared to a very young Maru Boher team, which mainly the team comprised of the minor team. So that's ended our championship run in the under-21 games. Our senior team are doing quite well. The league, county league, has just commenced and we've had 2 games. The first was against Herberstown last Tuesday week and we were comprehensive winners by 3-19 to 9 points. The team played extremely well. They are performing very well in terms of fitness and scoring ability, and there's a real coordination within the team as a result of the new training setup that's been put in place. Ger Hegarty and team are doing very well. The next game we played was against Patrickswell last Saturday night in Patrickswell, and that ended in a draw, and it was a very, very entertaining game, and we were very fortunate to have Seamus Hickey back after his trip to America. So the team at this stage is at near full strength, and we're playing a further championship or a league game against Na Piarsaigh in about 10 days time, and then all our focus is on the Ahan game, which is our first round of the East Championship, County Championship on the 15th of May. We have 3 games in that championship, of which Knockany and Kilmallock are also involved, and we feel that if we can get over the Ahern game, it puts us in a very good comfort zone against both Kilmallock and Knockany. So our whole focus is on winning that game, and the training and the commitment has been tremendous to date. So I hope to update you again in a couple of weeks in terms of more games played on the championship, and hopefully announcing the team for that game against Ahern on the 15th of May. Thank you very much.
As these are the Maroe AFC notes. To start off there with our men's teams. Our B team had a 2-0 win last week to go second in the table, 1 point behind Myross with 1 match to go. Their final match now is against Lisnagrey, and a win in that match will ensure at least promotion to Division 3B. Our 19s had a tempestuous 4-1 victory over Cappamore recently. David Ryan with 2, Jack Donnelly and Gary Ryan scored the goals for Maroe. The following day, our A team recorded a 3-3 draw with Cappamore to ensure Division 1 football for Maroe again next season. They followed this up then with an excellent 1-1 draw away to the Borough. A fine hat-trick by Liam Quinn accounted for Maroe's tally in the match against Cappamore. Team of the week this week for Maroe has to be our youngest team. It's our under-10 girls soccer team, who won the Shield jointly with Croom last weekend. In the final, nothing could separate the sides after normal time and extra time was played, and as there are no penalties, thanks be to God, allowed in this division, the final finished 0-0 and the cup was shared. And the team on the day for Maroe was Roisin Crowe, Leanne Ryan, Laurie Quaid, Kate Madigan, Eva Butler, Sarah Fitzgerald, Jane Ryan, Holly Judge, Stephanie Murphy, Breda Ryan, Roisin Kinsella, Aisling Maloney and Emma Barry. A fantastic result for these young girls, and to the management team of Cora, Pat, Geraldine and Anne, who put in a huge amount of time throughout the year with them. Our annual FAI Summer Soccer Camp will be held at our pitches in Tubber, and is now open for booking. The FAI Summer Soccer Schools is open to boys and girls aged from 16 to 14 years of age of all abilities. The camp will run for 5 days from Monday to Friday from 10:30 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon, and it will be on from the 16th of July to the 20th of July. The camps are designed to cater for all players regardless of ability. If you're new to the game, you will learn all of the fundamental skills that a budding footballer needs. If you're already experienced, the camps will help you hone your existing talent and introduce you to new tricks and sessions. The camp is open to both girls and boys, and as usual we have 100 vacancies for the Maroe camp. Early booking is advised, as every year that we've run this camp it is completely filled, and there are discounts available for early booking and also for people who may have done the camp last year. Booking can be done online at the www.summersoccerschools.ie, or you can phone in a booking at 1890 653 653. And finally, again just on our girls front, we had some great news in the past week. So a special word of praise to the 5 girls from the Maroe Under-12 girls team who have been selected on the final panel for the Under-12 County Interleague squad. And it's a fantastic honour for the girls. So particularly well done to Anna Madigan, Karen Cunningham, Edel Cunningham, Shannon O'Brien and Orla Regan. Well done to the coaches Mary and Geraldine also for the great work that they've done with this squad. So thank you again.
We pay another visit now to Tom and Noni Holmes with Dandonine.
After having a very mild winter, I suppose, and some gorgeous weather in the last fortnight, where we had temperatures in excess of 20 degrees, believe it or not, in March. Something that, kind of gives me a way of starting off here with Tom and asking him about the spell of weather we have gone through, and maybe to give us this man, Tom, here, is an expert on weather, and reads a lot of indicators about weather. He watches the cat's movement, and he reads Old Moore's Almanac and all that, so he's very well up in weather things. So we'll ask him to comment on the last few days of last fortnight of extremely good March weather. Tom, what would you say about the fortnight we got?
Well, right off I can't say a whole lot about it, because I'm wondering what the outcome will be later on.
Yes. And did you ever witness anything like this before in March, Tom?
Well, I can't say I did.
Yes.
The hardest weather I ever saw was in 1947.
Right.
Because it started the last days of January and went out into the first week of May.
Yes.
We got snow and everything going into the bog.
Yeah.
Well, the point about it is this: there's different in all parts of the country, and it can be raining in Wicklow, and we can have a glorious day here,
Yes.
and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But if I always found that if the wind came from the southeast, you were inclined to get thunder,
Oh yes.
thundery showers,
Yeah.
and I'll never forget a day in the Moher Bog. We came down, we were above in the bog, and the thunder and lightning started. We went into an old hut and there was horses in it. So the next thing the gangers came in and looked for us to come out and go to work again. So we were running out, and when Billy Welch, the foreman, came down the road and he says, pack him up and we'll get out of here. And before we had the things in the box, the thunder and lightning was unbelievable, and the rain that fell. We came down and into a house of a cow house of John Hartnett's.
Yes.
And the next thing, Bat Sullivan came out, and so we go up into a single column hay barn because he wanted to let in the cows to milk them.
Oh yeah.
And when we went up and into the cow house, we were standing around in a circle, and the next thing, the whole place turned blue, and the fog came in, and it cracked like that. That's all we heard.
Yes.
And there was 4 people killed in a bog in Galway the same day.
Oh yeah.
And I suppose they started with us.
Yeah.
Because all we had, and fellas looked at each other.
Yeah.
It frightened fellas now.
yeah.
That had fought in the War of Independence and in the Civil War.
Yeah.
It frightened them.
Scary to see if it.
Oh, it can, yeah.
It is yeah.
The afterclap. Always watch out for the afterclap.
Yeah.
Because the lull come and the electricity is built up in the atmosphere. And the next thing then.
Yeah. But would you have any ideas, Tom, or have you any indicators that as to how this year will go, how it will pan out, 2012?
What about Candlemas Day? What is it?
Candlemas Day, wasn't it fair and bright?
Yeah, and is that's a good sign?
No, Candlemas Day is wet and foul. Half the winter's gone at Jewel. Candlemas Day is fair and bright. Half the winter's to come and more.
Yeah.
A Scottish proverb.
I see.
And it is fairly right.
Yes.
And people don't believe in it. But as far as weather forecasts were, there was no forecast like we get them now, a scientific one.
Yes.
Because to the local fella, Jack Mulcahy, Balone Rab, went out and watched the moon, the
Yes.
movements and the way the wind was blown from. And he was able to tell when there was a good day coming.
Right.
And they were scarce, of course, at the time. And but 1947, I think, was unbelievable.
Yeah.
The wind blew continuously from the east.
Yeah.
And I think it froze the veins in our bodies. There's a lot of things missing now that will give you the weather. The birds are gone scarce.
Yes.
I haven't seen any plovers.
Yes.
And I always saw a flock of plovers. There was always a flock of plovers below here. The field fairs, I haven't seen any of them coming in.
Right.
And our own birds are scarce.
Yes.
And God, you know, these came and they gave you the... But being in the habit of going to work in a place, the wind was with you in the morning going, and might be against you coming home.
Yes.
You were always on the lookout,
Yeah.
and you knew where it blew from.
Yes.
And to look at the mountains, the top of Cape Hill and all the rest of it.
Yes.
And Moher Bog. Goats are the best.
Yeah.
Fellas telling me that when they're working in Cashel Bog,
Yeah.
and there was an amount of goats there, and when they see the goats going home, you could be going to also, because the goats, and I saw an example of it below Higgins in Ep10, they always had a goat going to the kettle, and the day was going to be bad, the goat wouldn't go at all.
I see. Yeah. So
And,
that was a great.
Oh, they're the best indicators of the lot
Yeah.
of the weather, so they say. But all animals
Yeah.
are superior to the human being because it governs that way of living and their way of life.
Yeah, sure. They said there after these tsunamis that the elephant could predict the tsunami coming long before
Yeah, that's right,
before
you could feel
the
it, yeah.
technology could tell them that was happening. So he went to the highland the minute he got vibrations in his feet.
The more
Yeah.
the more civilized you become, the less you get to know about it.
Yes.
The man travelling the road go on the road on the tinker's wagon.
Yes.
He have a better knowledge of the weather than anybody else, in my book.
And then in the olden times, we were a nation of farmers and outdoor people. We had a lot more interest in the weather than the present day person.
I was telling you that Jack Mulcahy went out when the moon was coming, and he watched where the wind was coming from and how it was blowing. And he made several observations. He could tell Willie Holmes then, you can cut us up here now, Willie, we'll get a couple of days. But don't tell Maher, because he was joined with Maher with a horse. And he wanted to get the horse. And
I see, there was
also, just listen, isn't there always a bit of a top up on the thing?
That's right.
Skullduggery.
A bit of skullduggery.
Now the word, that's the word, skullduggery.
You mentioned there, Tom, about the bog, and then also while we're on the bog, maybe to mention about the wartime and the people coming to the bog from Limerick to Cork.
The Nutton Bowl crowd came out and they stayed above in the bog.
Yes.
They built a hut there.
What time of the year would they come out?
They came out in the springtime.
Yes.
I was going to the taking Capamore and I was finished up. And there was no one there, only myself out of my class.
Yeah.
And the teacher said to me, and then the taker, they're looking for men in the bog.
Right.
Have a go. I got a man's unemployment book.
Yes.
Look, very lucky. And I was earning 30 shillings a week. And I went up to the bog anyway, I was working away.
Yes.
Dead happy. You had a certain amount of work done before you went to the bog.
Right.
But you went to the bog and you cut the turf. And if it didn't dry, you stacked it up, clamped it. And you could go in the following March. You covered it with bog moss.
Yes, covered it and left it there over the winter.
Yeah, and lay with that. And you could bring it home bone dry.
Covered it with rushes, there was no plastic or anything that...
No. All you put up on the turf was you made like a piece of spuds.
Yeah.
And you covered it, you put about 10 inches of bog mold in it.
Yes.
And that's all you put on it and left it.
Yeah.
And you went in the following March and you took off that and you brought out your turf for dry short. And you could bring it home and burn it.
And how many years, Tom, did the lads come from Limerick?
Oh, they were the war years is all that's...
And would there be many there? Would there be 20 people there? Or?
God, there would.
Yes.
Then they let the crowd come out in buses and they brought suitcases.
Yeah,
and
suitcases, man.
Yeah, and they went up in their suitcases every day, and the next thing they started faking turf and taking home the full of the suitcase.
My God, I never heard of anyone taking turf.
And then mind you,
This is the way to do it.
well then mind you, the Limerick fellas were bringing suitcases, and that people often wondered
What they were doing.
what they were bringing, but they were relieving people at that turf.
They weren't slow.
They were not. They were.
That's very
They took
good.
it home and had a fire for the night.
Well, said you'd have, yeah. And you made sure not to burn the suitcase. You'd need it the following day.
You wanted it up, and the crowd come out in buses, and the buses stopped above on the road, and they let them walk it up.
All right.
And I was to see him.
So maybe if we left you draw your breath for a few minutes, Tom, and we'll get back to you again, and maybe we turn over. No one is here on the wing patiently waiting for. Maybe.
Talking about the weather now.
Yeah.
This-
No one will give us
The signs of rain air. The hollow winds begin to blow, the clouds look black, the glass is low, the soot falls down, the spaniel sleeps, the spider from his cobweb creeps. Last night the sun went pale to bed, the moon in halos hid her head, the boding shepherd heaves a sigh, for lo a rainbow spans the sky. Loud quack the ducks, the peacocks cry, the distant hills are looking nigh. Hark how the chairs and tables crack, our bones are on the rack. Our Betty's giants are on the rack. And how restless is the snorting swine, the busy fly disturbs the kine. The puss on the heart with velvet paws sits wiping o'er her whiskered jaws. The whirling winds the dust obeys and in a rapidity plays. The frogs has changed his yellow vest and in a russet coat is dressed. Though June the air is cold and still, the mellow blackbird's voice is shrill. My dog so altered in his taste quits mutton bones on grass to face. And see the rooks how odd they fly, they imitate the gliding kite. And then precipitate to fall, as if they felt the piercing call. 'Twill surely rain, I say with sorrow, our jaunt must be put off tomorrow.
Very good, Nonny. Very good. And so appropriate. And you kept that secret from me the whole time, and now I'm so pleased that you came up with that.
Just as we were talking about, sit wiping over her whisper.
The only lines that I know.
And you know, the thing is, how restless is the snorting swine, the busy fly disturbs the kine. I don't know whether I put that in or not. No.
Well, you're a great team, honestly, the two of you. So, with reminiscing like that, Tom, and all that, again, thank you very much for your contribution to this affair, and we hope that you'll enjoy it when you'll see it on screen. And the same to you, Noni. And that poem was very appropriate.
Yes, that's right. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Pat Mulcahy has made many pilgrimages to Medjugorje. Michael Carey now talks to Pat about this holy place.
So this is an interview with Mr. Pat Mulcahy, who is very interested in Medjugorje, and we'd like to talk to him for a few moments on, and ask him for his experiences of it and where all started. And the best man to tell the story is Pat himself. So I know that Medjugorje started off in 1981, correct me if I'm wrong.
That area, yeah.
July 21st, 24th or something like that.
Yeah.
And so you can take it from there now.
I'd say it's gone over so many years and everything and all that kind of thing. But I can only say for what I saw there myself.
Yeah, exactly.
It's no point in telling what somebody else sees.
Yeah.
But there was a small man there, Father Slapko, and he came to
Franciscan,
Franciscan, yeah. He was sent by Rome to investigate it.
Right. Yeah.
And he said he was there for quite a number of years. But when they went to take him back, he didn't want to go. But he built lots of little things himself and Father, the other priest. There was what you call it, he was in the communists.
Yeah.
Maintained that there was no apparition there and all this kind of thing.
Of course they did.
But anyway, the biggest thing that I thought he built was Mother's Village.
All right.
It was a place for women that was, after the wars. We all know what happens after wars. I'm not going to go into too much of that, but every country that goes, Ireland have a house there, built by Irish people.
So the apparition started anyway. That's the main item, of course, and the centre why everybody go there in their millions, I suppose. And there were six visionaries.
Yes.
And they all the Blessed Virgin appeared to them. All right, and then. But and she's still appearing to some.
Oh yeah, every week. And at Viska, I think it's nearly every second day or every day. But some of them maybe once a month.
When did you go first there yourself?
Well,
we're getting into the details of it then as we go along.
We went to Medjugorje. Bridget got sick.
Who's Bridget?
My wife.
Your wife?
My late wife.
All right.
She got sick, and we went to. We were invited to Medjugorje. We went anyway, and I went and we looked around it and I climbed all the hills.
You sized it up?
I sized it up, had a good look, and drank a few pints of Guinness.
They are good.
For €2 a pint, by the way.
Apparition and a pint of Guinness.
€2 a pint.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was very nice. The people were very nice there, and there was no hassle over money or anything.
I know they're all local workers in the farm.
Yeah, very reasonable people.
That's right.
But then we came back, and we had a hell of a time here at home. Bridget died, and a couple of nephews of mine died. But anyway, I got back to Medjugorje. I promised I'd go back, and I've been there about 10 times since. Yeah. There is something special about Medjugorje.
Yeah.
Now, saying that, if you go to Knock, you'll find something special in Knock as well.
Yeah.
So it's all about.
It's about peace and love, I imagine,
exactly.
But the visionaries themselves, if they're asked what it's about, Our Lady told us it's about prayer and fasting and penance, isn't that right?
Exactly.
And so on, and the message of Medjugorje,
Medjugorje is to love and have peace within yourself
inward peace,
and everybody else. But anyone that ever went to Medjugorje has to go back the second time.
Yeah, but you must be back a lot of times.
Well, I decided. Well, actually, I decided that I was going to go back after the first time I went, just to make sure to be sure.
But just to go back for 1 second, you went first. Your wife was sick when you went the first time.
That's right, yeah.
She wasn't able to go with you, was she?
No, she was.
Oh, so your wife went with you, all right.
After coming back, she was double happy in herself.
The visitors themselves, just for the video, the visitors themselves, I've just what I've read up on it, they all have got secrets.
What they're saying is that when the visionary is going to stop, when the visions are going to stop, there will be a sign, a permanent sign on Apparition Hill.
The church hasn't made no pronouncement on Medjugorje.
No.
Right?
But the Pope John Paul, the last man, said that if he had if he was lit and had a time, he would go and hear confessions in Medjugorje. A crowd of us went anyway to the Blue Cross at 11:15.
Right.
And roughly around that time he was...
That's the evening time now?
Yeah, I think it was one of the chaps, one of the lads that was there that day.
The name's Evik.
Yeah. But anyway,
Ivan.
It was Ivan that was on the hill that day, that night, about 11:15. There were cars passing, buses, dogs barking and everything.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, you were dead silence. I couldn't believe it. I didn't see anything unusual that night.
Right.
I saw something later on, but that night I saw nothing. But I was listening. You'd hear a pin drop.
Yeah.
And Irish people can talk a lot, but the Italians are way better.
They're good at that, yeah.
And there wasn't a tittle to be heard for at least 15 minutes.
Right.
And
even the dogs,
I couldn't hear nothing. And I didn't fall asleep.
Yeah.
And I was sitting in the ground actually. There were hundreds of people there.
Yeah. Amazing.
And while the visionary and the following day, then we got the message that week.
Yeah. And the other thing I noticed of interest that I came across was the Blessed Virgin actually touched some of the visionaries, if not all of them. Like she even embraced them, as far as I know. So I mean that's a very interesting thing. I am not aware of that happening in visions before. If they have, but I didn't hear it.
I don't know about the embrace or anything like that, but she supposedly touched Visca's forehead.
Yes, miracles. Of course, I love the thing discussing miracles, and but you had your own miracles. But
there was a great little violinist. She was German,
right.
and she was played with a big orchestra in Germany.
All right.
And it's like the ships on our maiden voyage, but she was playing for the first time with the orchestra, and her mum and dad were coming to see it.
Yeah.
And they got killed, car crash. And she hung up the violin and never played again. When the mess was nearly over, or during the mess, the girl walked down and gave her the fiddle, or the violin, they call them out there.
Yeah.
And she's never stopped playing since. I have a tape somehow, but she's absolutely
playing again.
She came back.
Oh, she came back.
But she doesn't, and she most of her music is for charity.
Yeah, yeah.
But around the same time as I went first to Medjugorje, it's only a few years ago now, as far as 8 or 9 years ago, whatever, this chap used to write for the London Times or British Times or whatever, and he went out to Medjugorje. He was very sick.
Yeah.
I think there's some kind of cancer he had, and he went out anyway, and he said the paper sent him out to cover it.
Right.
And he wrote a book about it, and he was very taken by the mother's village. And he's Scotsman. He wrote the book anyway, and he published it. The man from Scotland anyway left any money that book could make to the village. And on the 1st of February of 2002, I think, the girl from the bank in Herzegovina, in Medjugorje, rang the nun and told her, somebody has nearly paid off your debt, 80,000, from a book that was launched in Scotland. And the bank were foreclosing the week before.
Oh.
They were on their own.
Good timing.
That's another miracle.
Yeah.
But that chap was cured.
Yeah.
He still writes for the paper, I think. I don't know his name, but I never read the book even because I don't read books that much. But that is true.
But they're still going there. They're still major attraction. Still a major attraction. They're still going there. I suppose big numbers.
Yeah, but
from all over the world.
Financially, the crush is on people to be stacking down a bit. The Americans kind of pulled back after the time of the bomb over the Twin Towers.
Frightened of travelling, yeah.
A lot of people didn't travel, but still the crowd was up last year again.
Yeah, right.
But the first 2 weeks of August is Youth Week out there.
All right.
It's absolutely packed.
Right. Which one do you want to go? Do you go? Do you go every year?
I go at the same time every year, the 25th of August.
All right. So you want you go while the big crowd is there?
I did.
You wouldn't go at a peaceful time.
I went to May last time because I was invited to a wedding.
Yeah.
A Croatian wedding. I went for a while. It was on for 2 days.
And you were going to keep going back as long as you can.
I will, as long as I can.
Yeah. Well, that's grand. Is there anything else you'd like to say to us now? We're coming to the end, I would imagine.
Yeah.
We've covered the main points now, the visionaries, there's 6 of them. We've touched the secrets, we know what it's all about. And the rest of it, prayer, peace, fasting, penance.
Everything you said there is good for the body more so than anything else.
Yeah.
Because if you have your peace, fast, few prayers, and go to confession. Because an awful lot of people they go to the psychiatrist and they go here.
Instead of confession.
You go to confession. And you're going to confession and you
That's right.
Tell a few, you know.
Yes, they say when confession died down, the psychiatrist
make money.
Is busy. They got very busy, and that's so the switch was there, and of course they go off and they do yoga and they do all that sort of thing. But anyway, so that's very nice, very interesting, and you'd be and you'll get your ticket booked already now for what are we in now?
Well,
you haven't booked yet.
I take a few people with me. So there's 14.
Oh, grand,
There's 14 people coming with me. This says I'm a kind of a courier. I can pick people up and take them with me, but I don't do that at all.
Yeah, so you're a good company. Yeah.
So
that's grand. If you have a final word to say, we'll bring it to an end, Dennis.
A final word now is that Medjugorje is a peaceful place to go to. You can walk around, no one to bother you. Saying about Medjugorje, you can do the same in Knock.
Yeah.
And you can do anywhere you go in the world.
Yeah.
Anywhere you go.
Yeah.
But the only thing I'll say is that people that will talk to you have been talking about it for the past 30 years.
Yeah.
And there's not one change in the words that they spoke the first day until now.
That's right.
A thought for the week now with Father Simon.
If you're like me, you will probably struggle, perhaps often, to find your path in life. It took me a long time to realize, and I found it very helpful when I did, that I in fact don't have to invent my mission or create my path in life, but rather I need to detect it. I don't have to create meaning or impose it. Rather, I need to unearth it. And this is done, as far as I can work it out, by developing a delicate instinct that can detect the slightest movement of God's love in my life, guiding me home.